Welcome to Lair of Secrets. We are back with Season 5. Tonight we are looking back on Season 4 and giving a sneak peek of what we're working on for future episodes. So, we'll just get right into it. Looking back at Season 4, favorite episodes. I think we could probably bounce back and forth a little bit on this, but I think my favorite overall, I have a couple, but I think my favorite overall was probably Cyberpunk Chapter 9, Flip the Switch, because we'd had 8 prior episodes working towards you guys finally doing this run into the burned out core of Night City. And you did all the prep work and you get there and you get to the bottom and you flip the switch and the Wrathful Queen shows up and it's like, what have we gotten ourselves into?
It's like, why are we going deeper into this place? This doesn't look good at all. It's like, in the backs of our heads, we're hearing the people in the audience screaming, "Get out of there. What are you doing? Are you dumb?"
Yes, especially as you come across
you're
the corpses
in a horror movie.
The corpses of all the edge runners who have come before you, right? So
yes, riddled with bullet holes.
But there was no obvious threat. So in some ways, it's kind of like, I'm trying to remember exactly. I watched Resident Evil so many times when I was prepping that particular thing, so I get them mixed up at this point. But in Resident Evil, all hell breaks loose once they penetrate in and everything's really ominous. But it wasn't until they actually shut down the Red Queen that everything really went to hell because the zombies got out. In this one, it's clear that everything has already gone to hell.
Yes.
You're still going to wake up
the Red Queen on.
Yes.
In the opposite direction. So, yeah.
And Hera was not super happy. But now you guys are going to serve her, so it's going to be great.
Yeah.
Nothing should possibly go wrong.
She'll be great.
Yeah. She gave you some fruit. Everybody, fruit's good for you.
Yeah.
That was a fun episode. I've been enjoying editing the shorts, and which is reminding me of where we're at, which will also be helpful for when we kick off the next arc. But yeah, I think that was one of my favorites. So what are you thinking?
Modern Maps is the one that I loved because we got to go through your absolutely worst, best, or best worst map that you have for your Mothership Con game. And I wrote in my notes here is it's so corporate, it's perfect, just not for the people living in it. It is something that has been designed by committee so that it's cheap and portable and reusable and not good in any sort of emergency.
Correct. Oh, man.
Which was completely by accident too.
Yes.
Initially, but now it's staying that way because it's fun.
Someday we should revisit. I'm actually going to be. Let's see. No, I'm not running that one for Mepicon coming up. I think I might rerun it again, the next Mepicon afterwards. So I might revisit it and kind of do the director's cut where I clean up a few things. Not the map though.
Well, I would like to see a nice version of that map instead of the back of the napkin sort of line drawing version of that map. I think that would be awesome to see. And then, if assuming we could, afford to hire a decent artist or whatever, you could actually just kind of tell at a glance that the modules that make up this undersea dwelling, just these are all the same pods, they're all, it's
Terrible map. It's a great map.
It's a terrible map. It was good. It was
I might
really
be able
good.
to do it in Incarnate, actually. They have the sci-fi and cyberpunk art stuff now.
Oh, did they finally release that?
They did.
Awesome.
I haven't had a chance to play with it because we kind of ended that arc of the campaign before I got to go back to it. So that was a good one. I really enjoyed that. I also liked I'll kind of segue into mine. The other kind of building one was Build Better Cities, which was inspired by my trip to San Antonio and the nature of the city of San Antonio in Texas. And it's got it all. It's got a beautiful cathedral. It's got the Alamo, which is way smaller than you might think it be. It's got this river that's been tamed by humanity flowing through it with flood controls and these interesting mashups of culture. There's a substantial German population who settled there, but then there's also the Mexican populations and just all of this great history that kind of comes together. And I think it was cool for us talking through how you build a city organically. What makes a city feel like a city as opposed to just hey guys, I made a map. Does it feel like a city?
Yep. And everything that Chris Miller was talking about as well for some of his games, researching Cleveland and such for some of his game stuff that he did. I think it was it Dresden Files that he ran?
I think it was Dresden Files.
And I've used a lot of the stuff that's in there to craft continuing to craft our next Fallout arc because it's going to be set in Indianapolis. So, I chose Indy because I could have chosen Chicago because I lived in that area a long time, but I chose Indy partly because I'm living here now.
Right.
And I wanted to learn more about the city and the history of the city, because growing up in Northwest Indiana, Chicago region, all of that history kind of just over time soaks into you. Whereas I haven't lived here that long, so I haven't learned about a lot of stuff that's been here. And so, yeah, I've learned a lot, and it's pretty cool. And some of that's going to get into the game.
Yeah, using your hometown as a campaign setting. Maybe that'll be a future episode.
Yep.
Because I've had those kind of like, I don't remember if we ever actually did it, but like the game is the zombie apocalypse. You are your character.
Yes.
You are in your town. Go, right? And
yes.
like use the Savage Worlds rules or something.
And that's actually what I did in college was with Vampire the Masquerade. I basically handed everybody the book and said, don't worry about the dots for character creation, like the points for character creation. Go through and just make yourself. And then we will go from there as a human. And then we'll go from there. And it was one of the best. Actually, I will say right now, still, it is the best game that I have ever run.
Ooh, high praise.
It was one of those where we played the night before when we were home for holidays, winter holidays, and we got together. The group got together the next night. None of us brought our characters. None of us brought our dice. We were just hanging out, and the group was like, "Hey, Dave, run your game." It's like, I don't have anything. It's like, we don't care. Just run it. And so it's like, okay, let's go. And it was, it was great. It was awesome. That was a group that really, really liked the role-playing side of things. So it was awesome. And that goes back to like kind of why I couldn't pick a Campaigns and Coffee best one, just because I like being able to talk about this stuff. And it's also because it's like Saturday morning and it's just a nice way to kind of relax and talk as a group about a lot of different gaming topics that we're interested in.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to getting back to Campaigns and Coffee. During our hiatus, which was somewhat accidental but somewhat purposeful because of summer and kids and college and all that kind of stuff, it'll be nice to kind of get back into it in the winter and be like have our nice little Saturday morning hangouts, right? One of my other favorite episodes was D8 Shadowdark Mistakes We Made, which I think many of them were mine. It was just a fun episode.
I think you would run Shadowdark more than I had at that point.
Yeah, but I think I guess a lot of times you'll see videos that are talking about like, and we did it, like D12 ways that Shadowdark is awesome, right? And that was a fun episode too, but I like talking about the things you mess up because a lot of times people see, on YouTube or out in the world or TikTok or whatever, you're only seeing the best that anybody ever puts out. People don't really want to talk about the things where they messed up. And so I think having an entire episode that talks about the mistakes we made and getting feedback from folks, which I think people were appreciative of it. I think it was fun, truly learn from my mistakes and don't kill your party.
Yeah. And it's Shadowdark is one of those things where I think you made more mistakes because you were coming from a long history of 5e. Yeah. And I haven't played 5e nearly as much. And so it's like, okay, we're basically stripping down all of the extra stuff from 5e, which I wasn't real familiar with. So I think the only thing that was really missing that I was familiar with was feats and skills. And there are no feats and there are no skills. So
correct. Yeah. So anyway, another episode that I really enjoyed was your conclusion for Fallout 2D20 Chapter 5. We finally catch up with Thriftway because my character, he had stolen his prototype laser pistol and I really wanted it back. So like my character had energy weapons as a skill, couldn't use it the whole game because he didn't actually have like a laser pistol, right? So now at the end, he got his laser pistol back. So I like just actually catching up with Thriftway. You did a lot of cool stuff during the campaign with both experimenting with different ways of representing zones and the different kinds of maps. And so I also liked how Fallout in general kind of was in some ways a throwback to what we had done previously with Fate and like Spirit of the Century and stuff. And not the same, obviously, but like coming back to zones.
But there's a lot of familiarity there with like zones and of combat instead of squares and things like that.
Yeah, it's like a nice halfway point between Fate and other stuff.
I really liked that episode because I finally got to do a lot of the things that I put a decent amount of work in there with Tailspire. Even though we didn't use Tailspire, I went in and I created a bunch of things. I found a sewer system that was, because there's a fair amount of community maps out there that can be used. And, I grabbed that, and we had miniatures I had miniatures from community miniatures plus ones from Hero Forge that were in there. And so we actually had Thriftway. Somebody had made a community power armor miniature. And so that was there locked behind a cage for you guys to find at the end. And then I got to rope in my friend Joshua, who runs D&D for our company as a team building exercise, but I got him to do some voice acting for whatever mysterious thing those people were doing. And maybe we'll find out more in the second season arc, whatever we're going to call it.
Yeah.
Series
2, season 2. Yeah. So,
we'll do the BBC thing and call it a series.
Yeah, there you go. So I think we've done a number of unboxings. I've had a lot of fun with those, even though I've struggled with opening some of the boxes. I think it's such a disastrous video. It's a goofy, disastrous video because I had this completely jury-rigged setup and it completely fell apart while I was recording the unboxing of the Fallout 2D20 starter set. I was looking at that video earlier and I also had it was one of the first ones I did, and so the mailing label was still on it, so then I went in and blurred it in YouTube after the fact, but then I realized the blur shows up at the opening to the video. So I should just record the clean version of this one, but it's so funny because as I was recording it, my rig was falling apart. But you can only unbox things once. Yeah. Right? Because you've unboxed it.
Yeah. Yeah.
For the true, taking it out of the box.
For a true unboxing, yes.
For true unboxing. I've gotten kinder to myself. And I think for the most recent, the Shadowdark Game Masters, I have the book right here. Hold on. The GM Companion for Shadowdark, which I just did the unboxing on, right? And this is a little different because it was in a box, but then it's just reviewing the book. And so recording this, I ran into problems with I actually didn't have a problem opening the box, but I did have problems with how shiny the cover is. So it was just reflecting very poorly. And I had to do 3 takes before I could do it. So I kept taping the box back together because I wanted to open the damn box because it's an unboxing. But we've gotten better. But I did enjoy the Fallout one because it's just so stupid.
I liked my unboxing the Electric State because I really like that book. The book is beautiful, and I'm reading through it. We still haven't played it, but it's reading the story that's in it is very depressing but very creative read in there. I still haven't read the original graphic novel sort of stuff that he put out. Simon Stahlhag had put out.
We had talked about
pretty grim from what I have seen.
It is more of the same from what I've seen of the book from your unboxing and from having read it previously. It has very little to do in terms of tone with the Chris Pratt movie that came out on Netflix.
I had a feeling because it's a much darker setting in my reading from what I can tell.
Yes.
And I think it's also kind of a lo-fi setting. It is supposed to kind of be a little laid back, but at the same time, it's kind of like the parts in, I'm trying to remember the name of it. What's the other, actually it's referencing another Simon Stahlhag book, which is Tales from the Loop.
Tales from the Loop, yes.
Where part of this stuff where you're a set of kids, but some of the scenes that you're supposed to play out in that game is your parents are getting a divorce or you're getting beat up by bullies at school. It's geez, people, it's think about the good times, but sometimes it's good to play a more realistic sort of thing in some ways.
Yeah, and I think both Tales from the Loop and the Electric State, the original books and then the games too, I think it is kind of a more lo-fi sort of less intense, not a lot of jump scares, slow build, slow burn. I think the Amazon series for Tales from the Loop had too slow of a burn, which is why I didn't get season 2.
I didn't get through it.
From a tone perspective, it was closer to the books, but they just didn't have enough of the wonder aspect of it. I think that was what really drew me into the books. And I think the Electric State, it just doesn't have any of it. There is dread and there is a sense of unease, but there's not really jump scares per se, and there's not really high adventure. And the movie really leaned into the high adventure action stuff. I get why they did it, but it's definitely not it has the visual aesthetic carries over, but the rest of it,
but not the
very
tone.
Little to do.
For most of the tone is not there.
Yeah.
The other unboxing that I did was Savage World. I had some Savage World stuff. So the player's book, but I also had another one came with like tons of cards, all sorts of stuff. Haven't used them at all because haven't been playing in person, and it's sad. I would like to be able to use that stuff, but that's why it's not on my like favorites list. But that it would be a second favorite, I would say.
Yeah, I need to get back to running Savage Worlds. Maybe I'll do that at another Mapicon. But my current Mapicon that I have coming up, I'm running Mothership, Fallout, and Shadowdark.
Gotcha.
So I'm rerunning 2 adventures I wrote before with some tweaks, and then Fallout's going to be wholly new. So maybe we'll record that when we do the playtest.
For HoosierCon, if we do that this year, or another local con, I'll probably run Shadowdark, the same one that I ran for another podcast. They had invited me to run Shadowdark for them, but it's where I did my still have yet to make the video, but it's my craft project that allows for Fog of War on a map at a con, which I think I enjoy it. They enjoyed it a lot when they were putting it together. Or when they were playing. I don't want to give away too much because this episode's definitely going to come out before that one. So
yes, yeah. So looking ahead, we've got a couple of things planned. So, and we've alluded to some of it. So we're going to have a season 2 of Fallout 2D20. We're hopefully going to release that probably December, because that's when the new season,
or at least start
releasing it in December. We don't have anything recorded yet, but that's the plan. That's when the new season comes out on Amazon, and it'll be funny. Like that's New Vegas, right? And you're going to be New Indy, Old Indy.
We're going from the Commonwealth toward New Vegas. I will say, I picked up the Wanderer's Guide, and I do have on pre-order the Royal Flush campaign book that they came out with. So I don't know, maybe a Series 3 is all the way out in New Vegas. We'll see.
I never played the New Vegas, and I keep thinking about, because I think you can get it on Steam or GOG or something, right?
Yeah.
And
you can.
I'd like to play it, but it's going to be an older game.
It is an older game, but it is Fallout 3, and so it's not that bad in terms of like controls and things like that. I never actually finished the game. I got caught up in one of the DLCs, the big empty DLC, and never actually finished the main quest line. But it was a lot of fun. I did finish Fallout 3's main quest line.
So it was Fallout 3 and then Fallout New Vegas, right?
Yes, and technically they're not. It's the same game engine, but it's not a DLC. So it's a completely separate game.
It's its own thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I made it through Fallout. I made it to almost to the very end of Fallout 3, and then I glitched because I killed an NPC way early in the game who needs to be in the cutscene that leads to the final.
Usually they make them unkillable.
This was a very particular glitch
okay,
that caused it to crash every time you came out. And so I think I had to, I don't even remember how. Somehow I figured out a way to get around it. So I did get to the very end of Fallout 3, I think. I think I had to do a second playthrough because I just, like, you're in the Jefferson Memorial or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And there's a part where you have to go out through a door, and you couldn't do it because it just glitched so bad.
Gotcha. They did actually end up making a change to the end of Fallout 3 because of an outcry from players, fans, because you can have, it's an old game, so I'm just going to spoil this. So if you don't want it spoiled, skip ahead a few minutes. But you can get a super mutant as a companion. And at the end, you're supposed to go into a highly irradiated area and you will die, or you can send someone else in there and they will die to hit a button. And in the original ending, you could talk to your super mutant. It's like, no, I want to give you the honor of going in and being the hero and pushing the button. Like, you're immune to radiation. Just go in and push the button. It's not a heroic deed at this point. Just push the button. Don't let anybody die. They actually changed the ending so you could have that happen. So that your super mutant companion could go in and push the button.
Just push the button.
Yep. I do like the Liberty Prime section of Fallout 3. That might have been in the DLC.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember.
You meet the Brotherhood of Steel and you help out the Brotherhood of Steel, and they reassemble a giant robot who throws nukes.
No, I don't think I did that.
And spouts American propaganda while doing so.
Because there's a similar build a giant robot in Fallout 4.
It's the same giant robot. They move
Is
it
it the
from
same
the capital.
giant robot?
They move it from the capital wasteland to the Commonwealth.
Okay, cool. All right.
And I have not done that in Fallout 4, so I might go back and do that.
So that's Fallout. We're going to be doing that. Cyberpunk RED Season 3. We got left a lot of stuff that needs to be done, and the PCs are going to have to figure out what they're going to do with Hera, the rogue AI, who wants to do stuff. And I think some ghosts from the past are out there. There's the headless three-headed dog.
Yeah,
that didn't come out right. The Cerberus without his heads.
Yes. And the fact that we still have a bounty on our heads.
And you still have a bounty on their heads. And there's still the Rocket Derby. Yes. Rocket Blades. So we got to get Aaron through the Rocket Blade tournament. So we got some cool stuff to do in Season 3. So I'm looking forward to working on that after I get through Mepicon. And then this is actually in the can. We'll be starting to release it soon, which is Shadowdark Actual Play. So we did a 3-episode arc on that one.
Yep. And we'll have to figure out if we want to... We have to figure out if we want to release it like rapidly before Fallout, or if we want to wait till after Fallout, or do we interleave the two? I don't know. We'll figure that out.
Shadowdark, or for
Shadowdark, because Shadowdark is 5 episodes.
Oh, is it?
And but
cool.
Yeah, it was a module that Kelsey had put out as part of the Shadowdark newsletter, put out different things. And I think this was from that newsletter. But then she puts out like a monster a month for the newsletter too. So if you want new monsters, those are cool too.
She did one on variant gelatinous cubes, because I've been doing I am throwing lots of oozes and cubes and puddings at my players. And I am very curious to see what they do with them, because some of them are way above their threat level. But that's going to be fun, and we'll see what happens. Maybe we'll do an episode on oozes and puddings and what have you, because I think they're just such classic monsters. And
yes, yes, they definitely are.
What can I say, man? I love the blob.
Yep, green slime is the worst in old D&D.
Yeah, exactly. I had some classic moments with that, including the players getting trapped in a chamber with it and deciding their only way out was to fireball. Like, they just cast fireball to kill all of the slime and hoped that they could take the damage.
Wow. Okay.
Desperate measures. So some episode ideas we've been kicking around. So we've got Chris and David and I want to just geek out about Cyberpunk 2077. The game's been out for a while. I think we've all played it entirely too many times.
Yep.
And I've been playing it again, getting ready for Season 3 of Cyberpunk RED. So I think just geeking out about what made it work, what made it go from such a horrible game to just one of the best games of the last couple of years. Other episode we were talking about was geeking out about single player mode. So I did an unboxing of this one. Chris and I have been looking through it, and I'm liking it. We were just talking about, is having too many tables a bad thing? That'll be like our maybe that's a lead. Is too many tables a bad thing? It has a whole bunch of not gonna, yeah. So we're going to talk about this book. It's for single players. It has a lot of random tables that you could use in your campaign because it's solo stuff. But despite the fact that it is solo, I think it's there so that you can generate ideas for you as a solo GM. But as a person who's running a campaign, and I just need the name of a gang, right? Yep. Like, cool, I'm just going to pull this out. Yes, I could do it in ChatGPT, but as we were talking about previously, I'd rather just pay our Telsorian for a book than use ChatGPT.
Yes.
And then our last one we were talking about, maybe Fallout series as inspiration for your game. So I've been rewatching Fallout.
Rewatched the whole thing while planning the next series. So I'm looking forward to getting the new book and comparing it to the series as well, because it's set in the same sort of areas. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff in there that's interesting. I've also been watching Oxhorn. He's a YouTuber who does Fallout playthroughs, but also Fallout history, like through the games and everything. Goes and does history and points out things in the Fallout series, like the Gulpers in the series are actually people that were experimented on at the one vault and are actually theoretically human, whereas Gulpers over in like the Far Harbor DLC in Fallout 4 are not human, or maybe they were, or who knows. But it's interesting the way that all kind of, his lore and digging into the Fallout series at the same time is really inspirational for this next session.
Very cool. So then we're playing around with some different features. I've released one or two of the first ones. I might bring back Greyhawk 76 because I'm getting back to my campaign. I'm doing. I don't know if anyone's going to enjoy this except for me. Geek Archaeology. So this is Ken talks about old stuff. Like this is going to be an upcoming episode. My Timex Sinclair.
I think it's going to be more than Ken talks about old stuff because it reminded me. I have an old Dragonbone. I don't know if you remember those, but it was.
Don't actually.
It is. It is. It looks a little bit like the obelisk from 2001.
Okay,
but it is an electronic die. And basically, there's a little slider. Awesome. You select which die you want to hit, and then you hit a button, and then a bunch of red LEDs filter through, and then it shows your roll. And it was always in awesome. Dragon Magazine as an ad, and I picked one up at Gen Con one year because it was like the marketing worked, and I may fix it and or recreate it with modern electronics.
If we're talking about fixing things, I have a copy of Dark Tower in my basement that it's been on my list of like, what does it take to fix this, right? But I don't know.
Yep.
Opinions vary on the internet. I also have, we've talked about this one before, so I won't talk about it extensively again, but I'm going to be building the space shuttle, the 1977 Estes space shuttle. So I might do some streaming on Moonbeam because it's a brand new build. So might do that. And it's
a fairly straightforward one. I did that one in junior high. Is when I built mine.
I think so. I think it's skill level 4, but it's leading up to the Mars lander, which we talked about in a different episode. I have like just this trove that I came across, which is my Star Frontiers notes from like middle school and high school. So I've got printed out. So this is how's this for old school folks? Using Print Shop. Right?
Yeah.
Like, this is the cover art for the Starrier Federation.
Matrix printer.
Oh, yeah. And I've got like all of these freaking maps and freaking like ship rosters. I don't know what the hell I was doing.
We had lots of time.
I had lots of time.
We had lots of time and no cell phones to distract us.
So I had my campaign map. Like,
nice.
Talking about solo gaming.
Yeah.
I never actually played Star Frontiers.
I think I played once, but yeah, I really enjoyed Star Frontiers and like the Dralosites, and I don't remember the other ones, the ones who can glide. They get pulled over. Yeah, the Usarians get pulled over into Spelljammer.
Yeah, a bunch of
the plasmoids
did
and
too, I think.
Whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, so it'll be some fun nostalgia stuff. I'll have to see how well like my notes actually, because they're 30 years old or something like that. More older than that, like, some of them may not show up very well, so we'll have to play around with contrast. But it's fun to like revisit your old notes. So the other thing, we'll have random unboxings as we continue to buy things, and how-tos. I think I've been talking about creating screen sheets for a long time, and I'd like to revisit that particular topic. I don't know. We'll see. Yep. If you folks have how-tos that you'd like to see us to talk about or to talk about, let us know, because we're always happy to try out things, especially if it's stuff that showed up on the episode and you're like, how did you do that?
Yep. Like probably do a how-to on the Shadowdark torch timer, the physical one.
Yes. I would love it if you did that.
And the craft project of dynamic fog of war at a physical table, without taking sheets of paper and moving the sheets of paper around.
Yes, I think that'd be great. So, and we'll have other random stuff that comes up as we go along. If there's something you'd like to see us talk about, let us know. Thanks for attending our latest Minion and Future Overlord training. This was basically kind of a grab bag episode as we just kind of like reminisce and look ahead. And you can look forward to more content coming soon. Like and subscribe on YouTube, where we are at almost 600 subscribers. And maybe you will be.
Only took us a little while.